Welcome to Discussing Dad Life, where we break down bullshit so you don't have to. I'm Void, this is No, and let's go.
Welcome to Wellspring Wednesdays. So we left off on Monday, finishing the conversation regarding TikTok and its potential forcing of, or the government's potential forcing of ByteDance to divest from TikTok. And I'd kind of gone off on a little tangent regarding social media and kids. So this is a good topic, I think. And the reason why I say it's a good topic is because we're living at a time where children have access to the internet, quite a bit of access, way more than we did when we were growing up. With that access comes cyberbullying, comes content that might not be the same as what you're trying to teach your children morally, right? The other thing is it is an avenue for predators to invade their space, right? And let's face it, the world is not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of hard work that has to go into it. There's a lot of protection that a parent has to play, specifically fathers have to play with their children, right? One reason why crime rate and everything is on the rise is due to the simple fact that there are a lot more fatherless homes. And one thing that fathers are really great at doing is, or what their main purpose of doing when raising children is, to setting boundaries, and then to also setting boundaries and then the ramifications if you violate those boundaries, right? And as more and more children are born out of wedlock and out of a marriage, and the father moves or stays away. Now, there are a lot of fathers that want to be a part of their children's lives. Our court systems are definitely messed up. They favor the mother quite heavily. You have to spend a pretty penny in order to get custody. Every now and again, you'll get like my example, my ex-wife and I actually get along fairly well. We don't fight or anything, so we communicate quite a bit, and we're both focused on what's best for the children. Sorry, that was my phone ringing. I should have put it on silent, but it's okay. So every relationship that devolves that had produced children obviously is going to have its own outcomes. So with that being said, there are some that where there's no fathers in the homes, and fathers are very important. Don't get me wrong, mothers are important too. One side is not better than the other. I get really sick of the arguments that men are more important than women, or women more important than men. No, we're both equally important in society. We have different functions in society. And there's a lot of crossover between those functions. Don't get me wrong. You can do what you want to do in society. There are biological traits, though, however, that typically mean that you are pulled towards one way or another, depending on if you're a man or a woman, right? That's just the way it is. I'm not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's the way it is. That doesn't mean you have to follow it. You can go ahead and do whatever you want to do. You can go ahead, like if you're a woman and you want to be independent, keep in mind that independent women, what they're trying to be independent of is being independent of a man, right? That's what that whole thing means, that you don't need a man. Men don't view relationships. If men are not in a relationship, we're not trying to be independent because we're not independent people, right? It's just kind of very telling in that fashion. But as a woman, you can go ahead and you can chase the bag. You can chase your dream of being a CEO, or, you can chase whatever you want to chase. Same with men. If you're a man and you want to chase something that's not typically what men chase, go for it. More power to you. I'm never going to bash you. And I don't think society's typically going to bash you. Yes, there are ignorant people out there. Yes, there are people that are just going to be dumb. But you do you. And no matter what you do, just realize that those choices come with consequences. No, those could be positive consequences or those could be negative consequences, right? So let's take the example of a woman that wants to be CEO working 80, 90, 100 hours a week in order to achieve this massive independent wealth status. Great. You have positive consequences, which are you're independent. You have the money you want. You have the cars you want. You have the lifestyle you want. But there are negative consequences as well. One is you're going to age and you're not going to have children. And it's going to be harder for you to find a man to have children with as you age, right? So there's nothing wrong with wanting to do that. But keep in mind that you have to, you're trading. There's no matter what you do in life, there's choices. And every single choice you make, there's trade-offs. Sometimes they're good trade-offs. Sometimes they're bad trade-offs. Or they outnumber each other, right? Sometimes they're about equal. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is, right? Nothing wrong with that. So all I'm saying is men are important as a father figure for children to set boundaries, to set guidelines. Social media is a new adaptation to life that we are not fully grasping yet, I don't believe. AI is now coming into play too. So what's going to happen with AI, right? Social media has given risen to these movements that might, over a period of time, might actually pay off. I don't see it paying off. And that is this movement of like, I'm not a huge Nicki Minaj or Cardi B fan. And the reasoning why is because their music promotes these young women to objectify themselves. And one of the biggest complaints that I always hear from feminism is that, or feminists, is that men objectify women. And my pushback on this is very simple. You cannot be objectified without objectifying yourself first, right? So if you want to be treated with the respect that you deserve, you should respect yourself the way you deserve to be respected. Meaning you don't need to put half-clothed pictures on the internet and share it with people, because all you're getting is a bunch of random dudes objectifying you. And now keep in mind, you do you. So if you want to be objectified, that's great, but you got to deal with the consequences of being objectified then. You can't have it both ways. That's all I'm trying to say. So I'm not a huge Cardi B or Nicki Minaj fan, Meg Thee Stallion, any of that stuff, right? They have degraded what the woman's supposed to be. Women are these beautiful creatures that are the progenitors of our race, and they should be treated with respect. Now, with all that being said, the reason this ties directly into social media is because a lot of the information that kids get nowadays is short form information coming from TikTok, coming from X, coming from these social media accounts. And they're only getting what appears to be popular, what appears to be pushed, right? It's all about self-indulgence. It's all about making yourself feel better or do you. It's all about self-empowerment. But what we fail to realize is that, and social media is the number one cause of this, as far as I can see, is we have stepped away from actually having self-discipline and self-respect. And we do all these things. We do these trends in order to get the likes, to get the shares, to get the subscribes. And we shouldn't be doing these negative things. Let's put out the positive things, like Moo starting a business. That's a positive thing. She's learning how to one, locate resources. Two, setting aside time in order to manufacture these things. 3, she's setting a budget, figuring out how much it costs in order to do these things. How much is her time worth? Then 4, she's also figuring out how to sell them. One of the most fun things I did with her was Super Bowl weekend. I think I told you guys this. Super Bowl weekend, we were over at my sister's house. She had brought some candles. We started walking the neighborhood. I just walked with her. Let her go up there and door by door trying to sell candles. She sold some. Great. But it's that initiative. It's that power. That is the more important things in life, right? She's learning skills. She's learning things that are going to help her be successful in her life. I also try to teach her how to be respectful to herself, be respectful to those people around her. Now, my son's a little bit different. My young son is a little too young to understand any of these concepts, but it's more through play and keeping his attitude down, his anger, and letting that out in a positive way. My older son, he's getting involved more and more with the physical traits, boxing, weightlifting, stuff like that. He's working on improving his body. Now, he also happens to be our producer. He's sitting right behind us, or right behind me, or I guess in front of me, whatever, however you want to say it. But I'm also trying to teach him responsibilities in helping to do things, right? To develop skills as well. So while I'm not a huge fan of social media in kids' lives, I do think it's necessary in kids' lives because you do want them to be technologically savvy, right? You do want them to see what's going on in the world. Where it behooves us as parents is to sit there and say, hey, this content is driving your behavior this way, and we don't want that because the ramifications of your acting this way could cause you a lot of heartache in the future, right? Our roles as parents is to define reality, right? Reality is defined for us. Now we need to sit there and show the reality to the children and then let them know that you have free choice. We all have free choice. We can make whatever decision we want to make. But with those decisions that we make, we will have ramifications. And if you're doing things right, you're going to have more good ramifications than bad ones. Boyd told us stories about his mess ups in life. I have mess ups in life. We all do. I know for a fact every single one of us has something we could wish we could go back in our past and change. To that, I think back sometimes about mistakes I made and wish I would have never done them. However, I try to stay on the positive side of things and be like, if I didn't make those mistakes then, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I learn from them. You learn more from mistakes than you ever do from success. Sometimes the biggest thing as a parent is you're trying to let your children learn from those mistakes, but not have it such a drastic mistake that it's going to ruin anything in their future, right? Oh, yeah. So social media, very, very prevalent in today's society. I have no problem with children watching it. Not trying to sit there and say like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this. No, that's not my intention at all. My intention is to say, be involved in your children's lives and make sure that the content they're watching is not changing their behavior to basically demoralize themselves, right? We want to teach respect to our children. We want to teach that everyone is important. Everyone deserves respect. The big one that I hit on, obviously, is the feminist movement and portraying women to be these independent boss babes. And the reason I hit on that is because every single study shows that the women that are now in late 30s, early 40s that have gone this route have overwhelmingly depressed lives. They have self-identified as not being fulfilled in life. And this ties back to kind of our biological traits. We all have these innate things inside of us that we were trying to do. Men typically, now this is just kind of a general. This doesn't apply to everyone. There are obviously outliers. But in general, men like to provide and protect for those that they care about. Women tend to want to nurture a close-knit family. Again, that doesn't mean you can't go outside those biological poles that everyone feels. It just means that be aware of that because like Moo is very nurturing, super nurturing. She is going to be a fantastic mother one day. But I also want to teach her that A, you need to be able to handle things by yourself, But B, understand that you don't have to go through life alone, that you can prioritize relationship and still accomplish your own dreams. Because a good man will want to understand what your dreams are and want to support you in reaching those dreams as long as you're providing a prioritizing that relationship that you're in. So, men in this day and age, I'm going to bash on you guys for just a minute. We as men have started slipping, and we've started slipping back in probably in the 90s. We no longer prioritize getting ourselves up. We've basically said, oh, whatever, we're just going to do whatever we want to do. If you're a man, early 20s, and all you do is sit at home and smoke weed in your mom's basement, you're not going to have the life you want to have. You're going to dream about it. Actually, you know what? Hobson, Ill Mind of Hobson, I think 5, actually does a pretty good job of explaining all this in a song. If you guys are curious, go check it out. Ill Mind of Hobson. I'll give him a shout out, man. One of the best songs I've ever heard in my life. And it's just, that song does a really good job of talking about how these men are basically fronting in order to try to get laid. Because let's face it, one of men's biggest pulls is fornication, right? We'll be frank. But in order to do that, you need to be successful. And most men don't want to put that energy into being successful, right? Other parts of that song talking about how women are looking for the best man. And hypergamy. Hypergamy is real. Let's face it. Hypergamy is real. That doesn't mean that relationships can't work in this situation. No, it just means that you have to understand who you are, what you want to do. But then I would also recommend that you take a look at where you want your life to be and realize that choosing certain things over other things could be negative, but it could also be positive, right? So just keep that in mind. Keep it in mind that, social media is obviously influencing us in one direction. I happen to believe that direction could very well be wrong. In regards to having a strong family, everyone, human creatures crave connection, and it seems like social media does do a pretty good job of trying to split families up. Seems like it. Let me know your thoughts. Moving on, let's talk. We mentioned Moo's making candles, right? So Moo has Georgia Peach, she has Sea Breeze, she has Lakeshore, she has Coconut, she has Pipe Tobacco, she has, I think she's calling it Neon Christmas. Actually smells pretty good. But she has all these things. They're all for sale. If you guys are interested in buying anything, shoot us an email, discussingdadlife@gmail.com, or hit us up on Instagram or TikTok or wherever. Just shoot us a message. We'll see it, and eventually, we'll get back to you. And we'll figure out how to do it. We have a Venmo set up, so you can just Venmo us up, and then you just give us your address, and we'll get it shipped off. If you're interested in buying any of that stuff, just let us know. Okay. But I think we're gonna end Wellspring Wednesday on that. It was a little bit of a car crash. Yeah. But yeah, so that's my take on that. Hoping Void comes back here shortly. I'd love to get his take on social media. I know he doesn't let his children interact too much. I let mine interact a lot more than he does, which is completely fine. To each their own, right? He's got a way that he believes his family needs to be raised, and he's trying to teach them certain things. I have a certain way. You guys are going to have a certain way. Don't believe that your way has to be my way, right? It's just like men's dating preferences, right? So there's some men that don't mind dating single mothers. There's other men that do mind dating single mothers. There's some men that, if they're dating someone, they have a provocative Instagram, they'll end it. Like, no, that's for me, not for you. Men have preferences, right? And just like men have preferences in dating, men are going to have preferences on how they want to teach their children or what they believe is important to teach their children, right? So take everything I say with a grain of salt, because that's just the way I'm seeing it. You guys are more than welcome to see it a different way. And if you do see it a different way, have the conversation, because one thing that we're lacking in today's society is having an open conversation, because everyone thinks that they're right and that if you disagree with them, they're wrong. You're wrong. No, you know what? I would love to have the conversation, because you might say something to me that makes me think, hey, I'm viewing this the wrong way. Or, hey, maybe I say something and you guys have the same thought, right? It's all about communication, open communication between the online community, open communication with your kids, open communication with your spouse, open communication with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever. Communication is the biggest thing, and we kind of lack at it and suck at it in this day and age. So, yeah, I'm going to end it there. You guys have a good one. Thank you for watching. Please give us a like, share, and subscribe. Till then, peace.